I don't know if you are caught up with our episodes, but we have a thing where we have any returning guest, they read the intro. So,
Okay,
Rob,
I'm like 2 episodes behind. So was this
Okay.
really new, or have I just missed it?
I guess you probably missed
It's
it.
never happened.
Oh, stop, Nave.
Oh my
It's never
goodness! Hello, welcome to Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast. I'm your host Rob, and I'm here with my co-op partner Nave. How's it going, Nave?
It's going pretty. Actually, I'm very sad, but I'm gonna say it's going good.
I'm not gonna unpack that. We also have another person that might be here.
You know
Are
what's
you
really
sure?
weird? Hold on. Sit down, Phil. Wait. There's a new indie game on Game Pass called Unpacking. So it's really
Yeah.
weird that you're like, I'm not gonna unpack that because I've literally been for the last 2 hours it's like a puzzle game where you just unpack stuff.
And perhaps you're also unpacking in your mind at the same time other stuff. There
Yeah,
you
it
go.
was actually making me very sad also because that is a sad game. There's like
Wait, it's a puzzle game that's sad?
Yeah, because it's like you're unpacking into your first bedroom as a kid, and then you're unpacking your first apartment, and then you move in with like a boyfriend, and then you obviously move out of that boyfriend's house back to your parents' house to
Oh,
be
no.
in that kid's room again, and nothing's said. You just get it. You know what I mean? And there's specific things like when she gets like a degree, and in her boyfriend's house there's absolutely nowhere to put it on the wall, so you have to like put it in a shelf somewhere. And then whenever you get into the kid's bedroom after you move out, there's obviously a picture of her and the boyfriend there's a bunch of pictures you stick on a little sticker board, and then you can't progress until you take that picture off the sticker board and put it in a shelf somewhere. So there's subtext if you're paying attention.
I feel like
Oh.
I've never, because at this point I've moved quite a bit, like every year or two or so, and I don't know. I think I've just lost all sentimental value of it. Maybe perhaps none of those places ever felt like home, truly, and that's maybe why I never felt like I was actually leaving for permanence.
And
Even
I'm here
now.
with my co-op partner Philip. How you doing, Philip?
Pretty good. Whenever you're talking about sad puzzle games, there's one puzzle game I never played, but I always thought was interesting looking, and that was Catherine. Do you remember that one?
Oh, dude, I've beaten Catherine like 8 or 9 times.
Is that a sad
it's like
puzzle
one
game?
of the few game. No, it's not.
No, it's not
It's
sad.
it's very anime. It's sad if you've been cheated on, I guess. But the game is very over the top and kind of goofy about everything. It's dramatic a little bit, but it's like it never really pushes into sad territory. I'm sure there's a very, very bad ending that is sad, but there's like 9 endings, and I never got them all. I got like a handful. And that game is
All right.
very, very hard. It is the Dark Souls of puzzle games.
And that's not Zuma 3, the Tomb of Osiris?
I could Zuma in my sleep, man. I played
Oh,
Zuma
yeah.
back on Facebook when it was a Flash game.
All right, so for our listeners at home, or call partners at home, we have a guest, and that's Robert from the ASAP Weekly series of podcasts. Rocket League, more notably, Age of Empires currently, and the Pokemon, ASAP Weekly Pokemon Pokepod. What's it called?
It's just ASAP Weekly Pokemon Podcast.
Yeah,
Look,
the Pokepod.
I'm very unoriginal. Okay, I just put my ASAP Weekly in front of the game, for the SEO.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
listening to a podcast I'd never heard on Good Pods, and they were talking about Pokemon, and eventually one of the newer games came up where a bunch of Pokemon didn't make it into the Pokédex. I have no idea what they're talking about, so I'm hearing this for the first time. And apparently they call like the colloquialism for in the Pokemon fandom is Dexit. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
phenomenal.
I mean, listen, ask Phil. As far as the Pokemon podcasts go, I mean, this is the funny thing is, like, even a little bit Age of Empires, but like, I've kept my arm length away from like the actual fandom, and I just kind of do my own thing, and then it like seeps through the cracks what the actual things are. But I think that's why we're special. You know what I mean? All right, we don't run with the crowd. We have original opinions.
Me and Philip are special too.
I agree.
I guess the new thing that everyone's mad about is that experience share is on all
Oh,
the time and
yeah.
you can't turn it off. And I'm like, what kind of sociopath doesn't like experience share? Like, are you kidding me?
No. Nay, see, you don't understand. See,
Oh, am I on the wrong
Pokemon-
side of the fence of this one?
yeah, see, all right, so this is jumping ahead, but supposedly, hypothetically, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond was leaked a couple days back and available on emulation software in homes near you. So I hypothetically played it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, or I had a friend that played it, and yeah, the experience share completely like kind of babies up the game for me. So far I've only played like an hour and a half into the game, and I have my starter, my Piplup, which my wife Jana named Carrot for me. So I have Carrot, and I'm just kind of just catching people on the way. I grab a Bidoof, I grab the classic Zubat, I grab
I know that
the
one.
Pi- the Pidgey clone that's in Diamond. I don't remember which one it is. The black and white one, Star Aviary.
Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
Far
Yeah.
fetched.
yeah.
Talon.
So I have these boys, and I don't care about any of them except for maybe Bidoof, just because he's Bidoof. But because I was like, obviously my HM slave. But then they brought in the quality of life changes. They're like, hey, no more HM slaves. You don't need that anymore. And I'm like, thank God, Bidoof, you're off the team. Like get out of here. But so
Wow.
and I just put him in my party, and I just haven't gone to a Pokebox yet since I'm only an hour and a half in. I have one badge, and I've just been steamrolling with Piplup or Carrot in this situation. And I just noticed like Carrot got knocked out during the boss battle or the gym leader battle, and I looked in and I'm like, holy crud! Every one of my Pokemon in my party are all like over level 10 at this point, and I had never used them in a battle. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna win this fight by default pretty much because my whole team is just constantly over leveled. Like I don't know, like you talked about Dragon in Dragon Quest, the new one.
Yeah.
Like how you could like swap party members and stuff like that. Did they share experience or did you have to individually level them?
I don't remember. I kind of repressed that game out of my memory. Yakuza Like a Dragon, they do in fact share experience, but it's like you have to increase their bond, and so at first they get like 10% experience. Then when you increase their bond level, I think it goes up to 5. They get like a quarter each time, up to 100% experience for not being in the party. So I think that's pretty cool. That kind of forces you to have them in your party at some point. That's how you increase their bond level. You either go out drinking and singing karaoke or whatever, or you have them in your party and you fight with them, which is like obviously the fastest way to do it because you're fighting constantly.
Now the big issue I have is just the difficulty factor. Like I feel like I'm never going to be under leveled for the rest of the game, which Pokemon's already a grindy game, but I almost feel it's too easy.
I like the idea of experience share in general because we're not all like, oh, die hard, I need to annoyingly put a Pokemon in and then swap it out. What you're telling me is they, especially maybe early game, like maybe they could have that later game when it gets really annoying to like level up all the Pokemon, where it's kind of easy mode. But maybe I think there is something to like, okay, maybe the experience share goes up in percentage of how effective it is as the game continues.
I think when experience share was first introduced, it was a held item, wasn't it? Like I'm pretty
Yes.
sure it was
Yeah.
like a held item, and then it worked.
It was just like that Pokemon because there was two items. There was experience share and experience all. And experience all would give it to your whole party and split the XP. Experience share would split the XP with the Pokemon that was in the fight with another Pokemon that was holding the item. Because back
That
in
makes sense.
in yellow and red, I think you could get the experience all because there were no held items at the time. It was just if it was in your pocket, it was turned on.
You know what you should do, Philip, to make the game harder?
What?
You should only have one Pokemon in your party, and every time you want to level up another Pokemon, go back to the
Oh
Poke
my
Center,
god.
grab that Pokemon, then go out and start leveling it up.
No, I think I'm just gonna take my blessings on this one, take my lumps. But by the way, the game, a lot of good quality of life features they brought in from like Sword and Shield. You no longer have to walk on a grid; you can walk diagonally. Big improvements. Everything's very cute. The graphics are once again look like a Harvest Moon game, but you can get over that pretty quick.
I like Harvest Moon graphics. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. I'm probably gonna keep playing it.
Allegedly.
You talking about like
Hypothetically.
Harvest Moon right now, or are you
Yeah.
talking about like Son of Seasons or whatever? What is it called? Like the
Um,
actual Harvest Moon, or the generic bad Harvest Moon that's going on right now? Or so I've
I don't
heard.
know.
I don't
I
play it.
haven't played it since the GameCube.
Yeah, the
So
like it basically they did a harmonics and went off to make Rock Band because Activision sucked. That's what
yeah,
the Harvest Moon people did. They went off and made Song of Seasons or something, and then the Harvest Moon people just kept shitting out games.
gotcha.
I don't. I actually. I've really. That's the extent of my knowledge.
By the way, in my defense for playing this leaked version of the game, basically I was going down to I'm either gonna get Arceus or I'm gonna get this one, and Pokemon Company, they just keep popping out these remakes, and I'm like, I don't know. I was already a little burned by Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. So like I was very testy on this one, where I'm not sure if I wanted to go through with it. So this is me give me a chance, and honestly, I say this game just in my hour and a half is not worth the $60. Is it $60? I'm not
Probably.
sure.
US most likely.
Yes, yeah, most likely $60 US. So I would pay at most $30 for this game in its current state.
I think isn't another thing everyone's mad about, isn't like the whenever it got leaked, it's just one file and it's just like a fucking switch that switches which game it is.
I mean, is that really such a bad thing? Because of course, like it's gonna have the data for all the Pokemon on it, even if you can't catch all the Pokemon. But yeah, apparently the carts are just they have the label printed on it, and there's one program flag that decides if it's Pokemon flavor yellow or Pokemon flavor blue.
I guess you make a good point. I mean, I wasn't mad. I was just like, I'm getting this tangentially from Twitter.
But yeah, that's the current news. And the other thing is like with the leak, they're like, hey, they've also like apparently a whole bunch of Pokemon moves in and make the transition either. It's almost like they're updating the meta as they go along. Because like there's the diehard Pokemon Showdown fans that have, teams that they've designed since Generation 1 at this point that are like fine tuned, have all the moves. And since like Sun and Moon was the last one that might have had all the moves. Do you know when they started like trimming the fat?
When it comes to moves, I believe it was just after this generation. The diamond, like once they started getting into black and white, that's when
Okay,
they
that
really
was
started cutting down on stuff.
because with Sword and Shield and half like I wouldn't say half. It might be half. There was a lot of Pokemon that didn't make the cut, but of course Charizard made it through. I think was that the joke?
Thank God.
Like they ended up like chopping all of them, but Charizard made it through. But they also cut out a large section of like moves. They were moves that no one really cared about, most likely. But I'm sure like somebody like every Pokemon is somebody's favorite Pokemon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And God save the people that are oh, what's that one character?
Trashmon,
The
the fucking trash bag.
Yeah, trash. Or like cast form or something weird.
What's the ice cream cone?
Ice cream cone's not bad.
I just want to smack it down. I just want to smack it into the floor.
You can do a good like kind of hail setup with it in Showdown.
Is it like
All right.
ice cream on its head, or is it like a solid, like fleshy being with like blood vessels and organs inside of it? It just shaped like an ice cream cone.
I think it's made out of like ice crystals or something maybe.
I don't like this conversation anymore. I don't even know why I turned it into this.
Okay, you got a problem with the ice Pokemon, but you see Geodude. What do you think Geodude's made out of?
I think he's like a jawbreaker.
Oh
You
God,
know what I mean? Yeah, that's what my immediate thought is.
he's soft on the inside.
Yeah, I think he's soft and small on the inside.
All right, so that's what I've been playing that in Morrowind. What have you guys been playing? Let's start with you, Rob.
I've been playing the card game of sports titles called FIFA. Because at this point, I'm convinced it's just a TCG. That's really all it is. All right,
Okay,
it's a pay to win TCG.
Hey, stop trying to convince us to play this game because that's exactly what we wanted to hear.
No, you don't have to play it. You don't have to play it. Listen. Okay, only people who enjoy the sport, I'm sure, will like it. But it's all about collecting, the best cards, players. And let me put it this way: I'm very excited. I pulled a really expensive card, and then was able to get a whole bunch of good players. So I pulled the secret win card. That's the big thing. No, I think beyond that, I've been playing AoE 4, which I'm sure we'll talk about way later, and I have a lot of thoughts on that. But I find kind of where I'm at right now is like, I think I'm waiting for Pokemon to come out because I have it pre-ordered. Since I have a podcast, I justify the purchase. but
yeah, I can't do it.
what I will say is I've been having like a hunch because there's like a Switch game that I've had for a while and I haven't taken it out yet, but I know if I like take it out, I'm just gonna play it for a couple days, and it's the Yu-Gi-Oh one. All right, it's like there's like that single player Yu-Gi-Oh Switch game.
Okay, I think that one is also on Steam, and I don't know if you've looked in the
Is it the one that's on Xbox also?
probably, but if you look at the Super Transforming Dinosaurs chat, our like Shadow and the boys, they've been playing that like just recently, like our fringe group.
Isn't it 1v1? Like that's my one problem. It's like a single player game, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure actually. I thought this was like the all-inclusive one. There's like all the cards are here from years of Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, it is, but it's like a single player. It's like play through the plot of every single Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
Is it the Yu-Gi-Oh Legacy of the Duelist? And it's got
Yes,
something
yes,
extra on it? The one before that didn't like this one is literally just like the same game. It just has another season of anime on it. I think I wrote the walkthrough on True Achievements for getting all the achievements or trophies in that game, and it was
Really?
arduous. It was arduous. So you know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah.
My freaking screen is so dark because this screen is black also. All right. In the story mode, this is gonna mean nothing to the listeners that don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, or maybe it will mean so. It'll
Your listeners know everything, okay? Yu-Gi-Oh is a cultural landmark in the 2000s. Come on.
Yeah, they XYZ, Synchro, they know it
Well,
all.
definitely, I don't know any of that. That's the thing. I don't know shit about anything past like the first generation of Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm gonna call it generation in air quotes, where you had to tribute summon and shit.
Yeah, but that was 4 seasons, dude. That was 4 seasons. That could have been like 5 years, half a decade. All right, it's not
So
bad.
in the story mode, you can make illegal decks. So I made a deck with well, I mean, you can still, there are still limits. You can't just have all the pieces of Exodia and that's it. But I made an Exodia deck with 4 pieces of each limb and head of the Exodia and all of the draw spells, and that's it. That's the whole game. That's the whole deck. And you win on turn 1 or turn 2 every freaking match. Except for one in the story mode where you fight somebody who has a card called Genzo,
Yeah.
and it just fucking stops you from doing it. I don't know how. I literally don't know how. But I had to figure out how to beat that guy, like, with actual cards and shit. I'm like, fucking. But every other match, it's like you have to play 1,000 matches. So it's like you're Yugi and you're fighting Kaiba. Wow. And then when you beat the season, it's like, okay, now you have to flip it so that you're Kaiba, and you have to beat
yeah.
Yugi. But you have to do it for all of them. And there's like a fucking million of them. So you're literally just drawing Exodia on turn 2 for 100 games in a row until you get all the achievements. It's terrible.
That's incredible.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, one of the reasons that I'm pulled to that game more than anything and why I bought it. I mean, I enjoyed it the couple of games I've already played, but is I don't know if you remember the Game Boy Advance game that was like, it's not the nice looking one, all right, that you're kind of like walking around like in Pokemon. It's the one where
Is
it's
it like Duelist of Roses or something like
it,
that?
it
Or is that PlayStation?
it was Game Boy Advance, and it's like, it's literally, there's no cutscenes, okay? It's just like, here are the bosses you're fighting, okay? And the rules don't work. They're not the real rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, okay? They're just some made up rules for this particular game. But I remember loving this, all right, because you'd play it and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. But the fact that you can get Yu-Gi-Oh to be on this Game Boy Advance with like the worst graphics ever was mind blowing to me at the time. So that's some memories from Yu-Gi-Oh for me.
Classic.
I know Philip's seen this, but Rob, have you seen the YouTube video of everything wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh Season 1? Where he's
Oh,
like
no.
just pointing. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna have to link this in the thing. I'm just gonna send it to you. You don't have to watch it now. But he goes through the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh. I think he did like 3 seasons of it, and he's just like, this card doesn't exist. It's not real. And this card is not a trap card. It's a magic card. And then he's like, this card is just a JPEG of the moon. And it literally, and you're like, oh my god, it is. It's just the moon. It's an awesome video.
Have you ever heard of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero? Have you heard of that?
No, is it like
No,
a
what
bridge?
is it?
No. So, okay, the bridge. I watched the bridge. The bridge is great, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero. So the original like manga for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, you're talking about
has,
season
like,
0.
Season 0. Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
I know what you're
Season
talking
0.
about then.
It's like it's where like Yami like burns a kid alive, and like they're playing. He's like king of games. So Yu-Gi-Oh is just one of these like 10 games that they play, and then just Yami being like the gangster that runs the school. It's kind of the that is the plot, but that's the original like comic book.
Yeah,
that
and
was
they play
for
like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
a lot of games. They play like Liar's Dice. They play like, it was just a weird amount
Well,
of
some
like,
games
board
was
games they
literally
play.
like, what am I holding? Like, what am I holding behind my back? Like,
Yeah.
he was the king of games, so he just like Yami would win all these things, but he just became like the playground bully. I don't know. I
but
thought
he
it was
killed
great.
people.
Yeah, but he killed people. He literally
Yeah.
burned someone alive. So that's where Yu-Gi-Oh came from, and suggested reading if anyone wants it.
Aren't they killing people in Yu-Gi-Oh too? What is the Shadow
No,
Realm?
they send him
It's
to the
not
Shadow
killing
Realm.
The Shadow
That
Realm.
sounds like worse than death.
Yeah.
I'd rather just
Well,
get shot.
Have you seen like the censors where like instead of having guns, Pegasus guards in the 4Kids version, they edit out the guns so they're just holding their hands like this, like,
Dude.
like they have a gun.
That is in that YouTube video. He
Oh,
points
good.
out the 4Kids censorship. It's amazing.
It's incredible. All right, Nave, what have you been playing?
You know what I just realized? Like, so Robert wants to use this for his podcast, but like we've been screwing it up like for like.
Oh, within 1 minute, I'm like, all right, so I'm probably just gonna use the last bit of
Yeah, that's fine. That's
So-
whatever.
and I'll link everyone if they want to listen to this part to your guys' show. All right, that
Well-
was already within the first minute. I'm like, yeah, that
We'll just do a second intro 40 minutes in.
So I've been playing Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Blackwater, I think it's called, and I don't know if it's like a remake or something.
I heard it was bad.
I don't think so. It's not scary though. I was kind of because I've never played a Fatal Frame game, but I've always had this idea in my head that this is like the scariest game because obviously taking pictures of the ghosts to fight them is like way scarier than shooting them with a gun. And at the end of the day, it is like the same thing. You are just pressing the right trigger with a crosshair on the thing, you know what I mean? And since you're taking pictures of it, the game encourages you to like let them get as close as possible and then begin to strike so that you can like do a fatal shot or something like
Oh,
that.
I was really hoping you were going to say Fatal Frame. Like, he's at the title.
You get to take a bunch of pictures because every time you take a picture, there has to reload another picture or something. I don't know how it works. If you do the fatal shot or whatever, you get to shoot like multiple times, and that's how you kill the ghost really fast. And also, I'm infamous, I guess, on this podcast for not being a scaredy boy when I play scary games. I kind of disassociate. The more I played the game, the more I was like, this is kind of fun. This is kind of, it's like very arcadey. Like you're getting points as you're shooting them. Like it's like 2,000, 3,000 points.
So it's like Resident Evil type stuff.
Well, I was thinking it was more like Time Crisis or House of the Dead. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's what I felt like I was playing.
House of the Dead
And
sounds like a good crossover.
At the end of the levels, you get a bunch of points. And at first, I didn't know what to do with these points because, like, when you're in the between levels, after you get the points, you can get costumes. Like, you can dress them up in little goth girl, frilly dress uniforms and stuff. You know how the Japanese like to do. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is all the points are for is for costumes. So I just bought all the costumes. I didn't realize I went like 7 missions in with like a ton of points because they're not giving me any more costumes. And I pressed start. I'm trying to find like a way around or something. I'm like, maybe it told me how to get through this. I went flipping through the menus and there's an upgrade area where you upgrade your camera.
No.
So I was going forever. I was never dying either. I was not having a problem. I was just going the whole time with the vanilla camera, unupgraded or anything. And so once I upgraded it, I was a god. I just thought these ghosts, you had to take 76,000 pictures of them to kill them. I don't know.
You were doing the Resident Evil 2 knife only run in
Yeah.
under an hour and a half?
Which, man, have you seen Resident Evil 3 speedruns? They look egregious.
No, I haven't. On
I
the
literally
new one
just-
or the old one?
No, the old one. I just randomly got a YouTube video recommended, and I fucking love speedruns. I don't know why. But this game has like 65 different points throughout the game. It's a very short game. So in this short period, there's 65 points where there's intense RNG that dictates whether or not you should probably restart the game or not. He's like, this is the world record, and I'm going to go through each one of these spots telling you what is the best RNG, and then any other RNG that can happen, and then what the world record holder got. And out of the 65, he got like 21 of them with good, not even the best, just good RNG.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is like a 0.000000015% chance that you get this good RNG that he got. And I'm like, how do people play this game? Like, I would destroy everything, man.
Which, you know, it's funny you bring that up because they just did the stress test for Elden Ring. And of course, like I'm in all the Dark Souls groups. So there's always like the memes of like everyone's so happy that there's more Souls content. And then they show all the sad memes of all the people that speed run Dark Souls games using only a ladle at soul level 1. And they're like, no, not again. Not again.
It's like, I only beat Dark Souls games with the Donkey Kong bongos.
Yeah. It's my favorite way to play. All right, do we have any more games on the list?
Forza Horizon 4. Have you been playing any of this, Rob?
Forza Horizon.
It's the card game
No.
without soccer balls.
I know. No, I actually I like Forza a lot, but no, I have not been playing.
Forza. I don't know how people might yell at us now because I said Forza.
It's Forza. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. People are very passionate about it being Forza,
Forza?
but I don't understand that. Yeah, like with a T in there somewhere. Kind of like, you remember how Victor.
This is the same thing as Gotham Racing? Is this the
No,
same game?
I was thinking of when Victor was criticizing my English and pronunciation of Portuguese names in Rainbow Six, and he was like,
Yeah.
"It's Capitone," and I'm like, "There's no N in there. It's just it looks like it's like CAPITAO, Capitao," and I'm like, he's like Capitone. I'm like, all right, dude, I don't know.
It's understood.
You win. What was I talking about? Forza Horizon's pretty fun.
Yeah, car game.
It's beautiful. I'm playing on the Series X, and I don't know why I pointed at it. This is an audio podcast. It's beautiful, and I'm just driving around and like breaking all of the little signs for experience. And there's like fast travel signs too, and they like put them on top of buildings and shit. And you're expected to like ramp off of a mountain a mile away. Like go and YouTube like walkthroughs to get all of the boards. Right? I'm sure there's an achievement for it because there's like a mountain a mile away and you have to get in like a Ferrari and go 180 miles in the desert hitting cactuses and shit and ramp off of the peak at the exact angle while the sun is at 23 degrees, because once you're in the air you can't, this isn't like Mario Kart, you can't like fucking maneuver in the air anymore. You're going now in that trajectory, hoping that you were going exactly fast enough and you're pointed exactly at the right angle that you land on this tiny little shack with a cardboard cutout on top of it to smash through it. It's like there's one that's on a I'm sure this one has to be famous because it's like, you know how you have like the metal power lines, like the huge ones, like the industrial ones,
like the high tension wires.
Yeah, there's one hanging off of the top of one of those. And I'm just like, I guess I'm just never getting these. Like, this is ridiculous looking. How? The first one I found, I was like, challenge accepted. And then 25 minutes later, I was like, fuck this. I just want to race a race now, just to accomplish something.
It makes me think of Burnout Paradise when there's just so many collectibles everywhere, all over the Paradise City.
Yeah, there's like one for driving on all the roads, and I think that is in Burnout Paradise also.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is very fun though, and the soundtrack's pretty cool. I was playing it with my headphones on, getting a little vibration into my brain. I'm sure that's healthy.
Yeah.
I've also been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, I guess, a whole bunch. That's just always being played. It's very good.
It's usually what I see you playing.
Did I talk about there's a guy that's a bartender? Did I talk about this? That I'm pretty sure is someone who was previously in the game. All right, well, this is happening again. I don't know. He won't reveal himself, the fucking coward. All right.
I feel like because I heard a little bit of this before. I'm starting to feel like there's like almost like a 7-hour gap before this reveal happens. Like that's what it is in my mind. Like you walk around for like 20 hours between the two sightings of this person, and you maybe one day you'll figure it out, or maybe not. Maybe they just won't tell you. That's how in my mind when I've been listening to the show you talk about this. That's how my mind works.
Yeah, I also play these games very slowly. Like I just now I for 2 days straight went through and just only did the management simulator mini game where you're just getting loads and loads of money. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna farm money here and get the achievement for becoming the #1 business in all of Japan or whatever the hell it is.
God.
Which you get this chicken. There's a reference to Yakuza 0, I think. Where, or maybe it's Yakuza. No, it's definitely Yakuza 0. You get a chicken that can manage one of your stores, and his name is Omelet. And I was like, oh, it's Omelet. That's great. And I just like totally like Jedi mind tricked myself, because the chicken that was in Yakuza 0 that Kiryu gets for winning a bowling challenge that he also uses to manage his company. But that chicken's name is Nugget. That's his name. It's Nugget, which is a way better name. Nugget is a chicken named Nugget, and then the chicken named Omelet. All right, but this isn't what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure this happened again. All right. Now, this seems like a big story beat, but I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, because I want everyone to play this. I desperately say every fucking episode I want everyone to play Yakuza. But there's a character with white hair that there's only like one character in all of Yakuza that I can remember that has like just bleached white hair. Like he looks like fucking Dante from Devil May Cry. He's like a Korean Dante. And he's like one of the bad guys that ends up becoming like cool until he gets killed. Oh, I just walked. I guess I spoiled Yakuza 6 a little bit, but it's obvious he's gonna get killed because he's a bad guy. Most of them die. Anyway, so he gets killed. He gets like fucking hella killed. All right, like he gets brained. Like the guy in the bartender guy that I'm suspecting is another character in Yakuza 0, 1, 2, and 3. That guy kind of like got shot up. But you're just like, no, and then you left. And people have survived that multiple times throughout the series, where he gets shot up, stops breathing, you're like, ah, and then like you leave on a quest for vengeance, and then they come back and they're totally fine. Well, this guy got shot right in the He got brained like he was a fucking zombie in Resident Evil. All right, like gone. Now this guy had a mask, and not a pandemic mask. Actually, it is like a pandemic mask because you know how Japan is. It was one of those masks, and but he had this hair and these fucking sexy Korean eyes, and he has eyeliner on and shit. I'm like, is that this same guy from Yakuza 6 who clearly died? And then that I haven't seen anything of him since. Actually, in the story, I'm like hunting this guy down. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to see his face because if it is, then I'm questioning everything. I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. I don't even particularly know where this game falls chronologically in the series, but I'm pretty sure it falls after Yakuza 6 because it's like 2019 in this game, and I don't think Yakuza 6 was in 2019. I think it was like more like 2016 or 2017. Anyways,
And that was the Yakuza corner of the pod.
you guys put the timestamp in where I'm done talking about Yakuza, so everyone can skip it.
All right, so I think that covers all our
Yeah.
game chat. Or you got something for Yakuza?
I just want to say I personally enjoy it. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a reoccurring narrative that like keeps the pod together. You know.
I thought he was gonna say reoccurring nightmare that I'm living through. Confused every day.
Nothing's really changed, but I feel like I experience it every time. The same.
It's like coming
I'm-
home.
At this point, I'm ready to play Yakuza, but I'm already gaining like nugget and omelet knowledge, and I'm like, oh, that reminds me of Oblivion, pork chop and bacon, your pigs or whatever. But I don't know, like I'm ready to play Yakuza, but who has the time? Am I right?
Yeah, you don't have to play these games for 150 hours like I do. You can mainline the story if you wanted to, and just kind of wander around to occasional sub stories.
That actually scared me when I was like, I'm probably gonna start with Yakuza 0, and you were like, hey, check this out, and you sent me a video like a review of Yakuza 0, and this guy's like, all right, I'm gonna get he talks about the extra fighting styles that can only be locked through certain mini games, and he's like, this mini game took me. I think he said something ridiculous like 50 plus hours of grinding in this terrible mini game of like, what was it? Real estate management or something like that. And
Yeah,
in the end, he's like,
that's
so
where
I
you
can
get-
run around like Freddy Cougar or something like that, slashing people in half, which doesn't kill people until it does kill them in a cutscene or something like that.
Yeah, because canonically, you never kill anyone. You just shoot them and stab them and break their necks and shit.
Yeah.
But you're not killing them. It's like the Batman games.
Which one question I asked you and you never answered. So Kiryu's white suit, like, is that just his look, or is there a story behind it?
That's his look. He just
Okay.
has a look. The looks slowly change over the games. I think in Yakuza 0, he has a different suit, but at the end of Yakuza 0, he ends up in the suit for Yakuza 1 and 2 and 3, and that's supposed to be like an Easter egg for people who know what he looked like
Gotcha.
before, but I didn't know. So I was like, oh, that suit's pretty cool. And then I played Yakuza 1, I was like, oh, look, he's still wearing that suit. That's cool. And then every other Yakuza, and I'm like, oh, looking
It all
back.
comes together.
We should probably link that video too, because that video is fucking sweet. It does spoil some of Yakuza 0, but it's fine, man. It doesn't spoil enough. It's still very dramatic, and it's very funny. That video just popped up on my feed too. It's like YouTube's got an algorithm that knows what I like.
All right. So I think that covers the game we've been playing. So one little news bit that I wasn't going to talk about until we got Rob on the pod. Rob, because of you, you actually put some stress on my professional life.
What do you mean? What did I do?
So I recently changed jobs. Like, you remember I went through school, like reschooling and all that stuff for the Air Force. And in my old job, I was unclassified or just like secret level, confidentiality, which anybody can get pretty much. But then I had to get Air Force top secret clearance. Cool. But then my job here, I have to work with the NSA systems. So I need NSA level clearance. So I had to get a polygraph and everything. And so for a week, of course, I'm sweating getting a polygraph. I'm like, what if they're going to think I'm a terrorist or something? And they like, all right, you need to report all your foreign contacts. And I'm like, I don't have any foreign contacts. And then, a week later, I'm like, I've met about 6 Canadians since I've started the podcast, and I know they're Canadians. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? And so, like, I'm like, okay,
They
obviously,
think you're like a Manchurian candidate or something.
yeah. And so I'm like, okay, obviously, it's not a big deal. I only talk to them maybe once a month or a week or so. So I don't really know these guys. They're not contacts. And then like the day before, they give me this paperwork and they're like, you need to report all your contacts. If you don't, it could screw up your results because in your mind you're going to be thinking about them and thinking how you didn't report them. So everyone needs to be reported. I'm like, come on, man, you don't need to report that stuff. So it's like hours before I'm about to go to it. I'm like, oh god, I can't do this. So I print out the form I filled out, which it's so funny because they even have like slots for like gamer friends, and you put their username and what you talk to them on Discord or whatever. So you are now on a NSA document, which I then had to go in and like turn into my
Wait,
investigator.
did you have to find my last name? Is that wait? Have
No,
you found
that's
my
just
last
it.
name? Is that what you're telling me?
I only put in your gamer tag. You're like Lazero, you know? That's all I put on the paper. Canadian.
Oh my goodness!
Discord.
Oh no, they know everything, dude.
Yeah, they know everything now. You're on a list. And of
Like
course I
there's
bring
an
it in.
American SWAT team outside your window right now. We can see because we can see behind you, but you can't.
Yeah. And so, and I bring the paper in, and I have like a couple other Canadians on the list now too. And I'm like, I know all these Canadians, and they're like, oh man, you're supposed to turn in this list like a week ago, and they're like, well, just for the list, I want you to lie and say you turned this in a week ago, so we can go ahead with your lie detector thing. And I'm like, is this a trap? But they then questioned me for an hour if I was a terrorist and if I was trying to sabotage the United States or leak information. And turns out I'm not. So it was pretty easy for me. And I was able to pass. No problem. But for a while there, I was sweating because I met you.
Okay, so I just want to know: was I the first Canadian that you met?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm the problem. I got you.
Yeah.
Because if
And
I
the
was
other
like
one was,
one of many, but not the first one, I'm like, can't pin this all on me. Okay.
yeah. I mean, you were definitely the first one. Before this, I could not name any Canadians, I don't think. And that was the other thing is like, I had to think like, okay, I think these guys are non-United States, but I don't know if they're actual foreign contacts. So if I didn't know you were actually Canadian, you know, I would have not worried
What
about
if I
it.
never told you? What if you never knew?
Yeah. Like then it wouldn't matter because I wouldn't know.
But then, what if they? Anyway, we can stop this.
Yeah. I just wanted
The
to get
story's
in
great though. The story's great
Thanks.
though.
Turns out I was freaking out over nothing. Anyways, I think we should take a quick break and then we'll hit our topic game. And we're back. So, if you're just joining us now from the ASAP Weekly Age of Empires podcast, I'm Philip from Gaming Together with my co-op partner Nave and our guest Rob.
Yeah, I guess I'll do the intro now so I don't have to do it later. Maybe I'll do myself that favor. This
Yeah, do it.
is a snippet from their main podcast, so go check out the whole show if you want to hear the whole show. And yeah, they're awesome. You should go check out their gaming content. And this is just bonus content for my AOE listeners, and it'll be explicit. Woo, go.
Yeah. So, Age of Empires, a game we talked about back on episode, I don't even know, like 7, 8, or 9, somewhere around there. It was way back in the early days of gaming together. We had you on.
That was
and
the
we
early
just-
days now. Oh boy.
Yeah, that was the early days. Look at us now. We've come so far.
Weren't you our first guest, or was it someone else? We had friends as guests.
I may have recorded it first.
You
Well,
were
yeah,
the first
obviously.
guest that we didn't actually like know
Yeah,
in
you were
real
a
life.
stranger.
Yeah, I took them and I threw them against the wall. I'm like, listen, I need to be on your show. Okay, you don't have a choice. That's what happened.
And since then, we've gone on your shows, you've gone on ours. Match made in heaven.
I never went on. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I did. We went on.
We did Rocket League. Oh, you forgot that? Oh.
It wasn't
man.
memorable. Don't worry about it.
So, we talked about Age of Empires 2, DE, the definitive edition last time. And this, we said Age of Empires 4 was coming out, and is it out now, or is it just in like Game Pass release?
It is out. It is out.
Okay.
It was released the 28th of October. So it's been out for 2 weeks now, and everyone's been playing it.
All right, full disclosure, I have watched about 3 hours of videos on it at this point, but I have not played the game. So I might be a little misinformed just on what I have observed.
I want to know the misconceptions, so please tell me what you think the game is like.
Okay, so I put this in the notes. The biggest things I noticed is the walls look really good. Like the walls that you build up around, like they look awesome. Like the buildings, I love the dynamic landscaping that comes up from the city hall to like the villages. It's like the paths will appear and then they'll eventually become like cobbled as you get through the castle age. And I'm like, this game looks really good. Like it looks, I don't know, it's crispy.
Okay, so and I've slowly come to the realization of what this game was. Like I think I found it somewhere like midway through my last podcast that I was doing, like the first impressions podcast that we just did. And It is they've taken every good idea in RTS, thrown it into a mixed bag, and then polished it to infinity. Right? So it's not like redefining many things, but I think any RTS player is like the more you play, the more you're like, oh no, I love this game, and I can't exactly put my finger on it, but there's so many little quality of life and nice looking things that are part of it that like as you play, you don't even realize that you're like, oh, I'm just like I'm starting to understand why so many people are enjoying this game. I think it's more of a success than I could have thought previous.
I remember one thing
The
you said. Hold on, Nave. I listened to your podcast
Okay.
episode on first impressions, and
Hey,
one thing you said that I think it might have been your partner. Oh, I don't remember his name. Something about punching things, maybe, or he's a fighter. What's his name?
Boxer Saint.
Yeah, that's it. Boxer say punching things. Yeah. So I think he might have said like this game, instead of being more than the sum of its parts, it's definitely the value of the sum of its parts, or something like that. Like all the good things are good.
Yeah, it doesn't have one characteristic that makes it pop out beyond all the other, RTS games that ever existed, but it's just done those things that have been kind of developed over the last 20 years of making RTS style games extremely well. And you can just feel the 20 years of, RTS history in this game. I'm giving it so much praise, and it's like at the same token, I'm like, should you buy this full like price game? I'm like, if you're not into RTS,
Whoa,
maybe
save
wait
that for
till it's
final
sale.
words.
Ah,
All right, Nave, you were saying
okay.
what were we talking about? Because
we
I
were
don't remember.
talking. This game, it's good at being an RTS, but then again, they've been
No,
making
before that.
RTS games for 20 years.
Before
Uh,
that.
Polygraph tests are all superstition and lies.
No, not that far.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay.
Have you had an impression of this game or any
Yeah.
inclination, Nave, to play an RTS game?
I absolutely love Age of Empires, and I've been having a lot of fun with Age of Empires 4. My experience, I don't have a whole lot of experience. I think I'm almost done with the first campaign, but it's been a struggle with the game itself in my computer, where you know how most PC games will be like these are the settings that your PC should be at. So it put it at like 630p and
Oh
everything at
no.
minimal. It literally looked like like an abstract painting I was looking at. And it was the very first mission where you're like at the bottom and you have to storm the hill. So I'm
Yeah,
just
there's the
playing the
battle.
game, getting through that mission so that I can change the settings. You know, every time you change significant settings, like changing it from
Gotta
medium to
restart it.
high or something, you got to restart the game. My PC is not the fastest. She's not the fastest girl. So every time I had to restart it, I'd go off and like grab a cookie or something, walk around my house, get some exercise in. And I was just slowly, because I believed it. The game was like, these are the settings your PC should be at. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to very slowly move these settings up. And I'm basically on medium settings at 1080p now, and it's still running fine, but it still looks strange. So I'm like, I'm not sure what setting is making my game look this strange, but it looks significantly. I can tell that there are human beings down there now. Before it was like I had to like use my imagination.
Do you think it's because of the way the game actually looks? Because the game does give a weird vibe. I think I've gotten used to it. It's like I've watched enough games and played enough games where it completely doesn't annoy me right now. But I definitely feel my like first even hour, right? Or even the games I was watching before I got to play the game. I'm like, I don't know, right? That's how it felt, especially watching. I'm like, I don't know if I really enjoyed the aesthetic as a whole. But then when I got to play it, I kind of got used to it, so it just stopped annoying me.
I think I might have gotten used to it as well. I definitely looked at a YouTube video of someone playing it like it's supposed to be played, and it does look different than what I
Oh, okay.
see when I'm playing my game. But my game, there's a lot less like detail. Obviously, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think I was gonna try to be funny, but I don't know how far I can continue to push the PC because I'm just doing a level every time I move it up a little bit. So that is obviously taking a very long time because once you get past the first couple tutorial levels, you are like actually playing for a little, like you're playing a little bit. So it's like I don't know. I was thinking about starting to do skirmishes, but now if I leave the game on, like if I pause it and leave it on and walk away for like 20 minutes, like to do laundry or something, and come back and start playing again, it'll freeze the moment I open the game back up. But that is just like par for the fucking course for my computer. So that is just like, oh yeah, typical my PC freezing right now. You know what I mean? So I don't think that has anything to do with Age of Empires. I just need a new computer.
I don't know if I want to bring this up, so this could go to either of you. But have you had any problems with the UI? because I think there's certain civs where like it gets overwhelming. There's just like an Excel spreadsheet of like upgrades or like stuff
It
you
looks
can
like a
play.
lot of text,
There's
like
like,
more than you'd expect with a game that's usually just large icons.
and they're really small too. I feel.
But
I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely meant for an HD display, probably larger than the average if you get away with it.
I'm still I like I said, I've only played the first campaign a couple of times. Like I've replayed a couple levels just trying to see if it looks better. And then I'm just trying to get the things worked out. Like every time I turn it on, it's like you don't have enough RAM to play this game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have 16 gigs of RAM. And then it's like your drivers aren't updated. I'm like, what are you talking about? My drivers are definitely updated. And then it's just like, okay, it's gonna crash, and then I'm perfectly fine as long as I don't leave the game running too long. The game itself is very fun. Like as I'm having a lot of just even in the campaigns. And like one thing we can talk about is, unless you guys want to stay here for a second, but the campaigns in between each level has the lore dump, but the lore dump has these awesome high def documentaries basically where like they like have paintings of people like a bunch of soldiers like rushing a castle that's still up to this day, and there's like modern day people walking around while these
Yeah,
paintings are running
Really?
around fighting. It's very cool.
that time lapse where like they show the castle like in the animated form, then they switch to like 2020 probably, right?
Yeah.
2021, just like, oh, there's a car driving by and there's people there. I thought that's so cool.
Like early on in
This
the
sounds
first
awesome.
campaign, it's like this was the site of the Battle of Hastings or something like that, and it's just a field, and then they just paint a bunch of people battling each other on the field, and then it's gone. You're just looking at a field again, and she's like just talking about the history of the battle and stuff. And
And
I
they have
remember when this game got revealed at like E3, everyone was complaining about it because it's just they were like, "Here's a 5 minute documentary on catapults," and I was just like, "That's so strange. Why would they?" I guess it's interesting because I like that stuff, but I can see why everyone was upset about it. But now that I'm playing the campaign, I'm like, "Oh, that's like the fuck. That's like just what the campaign is. Like you're playing the game and then you get like this docu series, like a small docu series in between."
and I think that works. Like honestly, like this is the one thing that I've always wondered. It's like you either have to go full history or full story. You can't really do an in between. I think that's
I
why
mean, have you
AOE3
seen
failed.
Assassin's Creed? You can just make it up as you go along.
I
Well, no, but that's
definitely think we talked about that last time we had you on, when we
I
were
think
talking about improving the Age of Empires 2
yeah,
or
and I
3,
think that
whatever.
AOE3. Oh, sorry, like to Assassin's Creed credit, like I think that's what you have to do. You kind of have to be like you can. Like, don't tell me too much history. Give me like a completely original story that's like bonkers. But I know right away it's not a real story. I think that
Yeah.
was the problem with AOE3 is like it tried to be like a real story, but it's kind of history, but it's kind of not. It honestly, my biggest complaint about that, the missions were too short. It was like 5 minute missions, and you're kind of like, okay, why did I sit down?
The loading screen wasn't worth this.
Oh man, my loading screens are not good.
Okay, one
Or
thing
you're
I.
already on the next one, and you're like, yeah,
All right, so
yeah.
you both have played it. At this point, I wanted to ask, like, if this game was it great for returning players, or was it more welcoming to newcomers?
I think this is okay. If you've played, you have to have at least played like Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, Age of Empires before, maybe like some other RTS game, even like League of Legends. I think even like a League of Legends or a Dota. If you played those, then
Could have the micro
you
on point, right?
well you would have a general idea how these games play, right? And yes, you have to get used to like more soldiers or whatever. But I think you play a couple of campaign missions. Um, it it felt okay. Don't do the Art of War first. I'll say that once again. That is the last thing. It's someone yelling at you, and it's a little too advanced. I think the first campaign, the normal campaign, is the way to start because it kind of it kind of
Definitely.
gives you bite size information on how to do stuff. But I would say not necessarily Age of Empires players, but definitely people who've played RTS like real time strategy games before. So because there's just such a wealth of knowledge, like I felt, and I'm kind of seeing this discrepancy because like right now there's no rank ladder, right? It's all quick play. It's like so sometimes I'll go into games and be like, can I just play like a new Civ and still have fun and be like on equal footing, or should I like play like this really the Civ the civilization that I've gotten used to, but then I'll roll someone if they're have no experience, right? So I think it definitely does favor returning players or people who have played RTS games before. However, right, and I think this is the one nice thing is like there's never been a time like this, maybe in the last 6-7 years, right? Maybe 6 years, right? Although I'd even argue like StarCraft 2, it's like after Heart of the Swarm, it's been really hard to like be a new player getting into it. So it's probably been like 6-7 years before there's been an RTS game where people are like, yeah, this is, you can try this out, you can try this genre of video game out. And I think this is definitely a nice bridge um, to start off in, because yes, okay, there'll be some people that are better than you, but you play through all the campaigns and you'll be decent. So there.
The one cool thing that the first campaign does, and I don't know if this is in Age of Empires 3 or even 2, but in the campaign makes a point of this is that you can make control groups inside of your army. So like you can have all your army, or you can like have specifically different units. And the reason for this is because, and I think this part is in Age of Empires, like throughout the series, but it's like archers are weak. There's like a rock paper scissors thing. It's like
Yeah.
archers are weak to infantry, and then it's like spearmen can beat horsey boys. I don't know, cavalry. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Horsey
like
boys,
there's
technical
this
term.
there's this like kind of horsey boys. There's a rock paper scissors kind of dynamic going on to a point where, and all you have to do to make a control group is double click on one archer. It gets you all the archers, and then you hold down control and hit one, and you're like, okay, these are my archers. These guys, their job is to shoot the pikemen. And then you can control group your horsey boys, and like these guys, their job is to kill every archer I see. And then you get your infantry, and like these guys, or is the other way around?
Your
I don't
siege.
remember, but
Oh,
I'm confused.
No, no,
Oh, the
but
siege is different in this game too, but I can let Rob go.
yeah, no. I think the fact they actually could explain control groups. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think any RTS game before has really explained control groups. They might have explained it when it comes to buildings, like like put your building on this so you can produce stuff out of that building. But
Mm,
I don't think they've ever like I started using control groups a decade ago, so I have that unfair advantage that I'm very much used to using these, right?
yeah.
But if I have one big army, what I'll do is like separate into one and two for like the specific, maybe archers and then spearmen or whatever, and then have a three actually because I'm lazy, and the three is just the whole army. so,
yeah, of
so the
course.
whole army can attack generally, and then when I'm in the heat of battle, I can do that. And there's another thing to be said of like when you're actually in battle to just box like different parts of your army that you want to spread out beyond the control groups. But yeah, siege weapon, I actually really like it. You can just make a battering ram like on the spot, just randomly in the field, and it just makes more sense. Buildings get destroyed faster. It's great. It's really good. It
Dude,
means
buildings just get evaporated, man.
well, no, but
I was very shocked about how fast you can kill some walls sometimes.
except for like a castle, once like people start getting castles, like okay, you got to do a little more work, or you have to
Yeah.
work around it. But it doesn't feel the same impenetrable force that AoE 2 has, where it's like, yeah, if I don't have trebs, I'm just ignoring the castle. I'm just gonna run around it, right? While here, it's like if you get a certain mass, or you can just build some siege weapons on the spot and deal with it. It feels like it's kind of made less of a need to put stuff closer to your opponent. Maybe it's the map sizes are really nice. Perhaps it's just the way things naturally are produced. But I've never really felt that need of being like, okay, like let me put everything really, really forward. Let me just, for now at least, I've been able to keep most stuff in my base, and still my army still gets to reinforce pretty quickly.
So
Another thing back up, pulling back from the new player perspective, the first campaign, it's basically like a tutorial for a long time. And I don't think the first couple levels you're even physically allowed to lose, because the lady will be like, because of course remember I was playing with Play-Doh men, so I was having trouble like distinguishing anything from anyone. But it was like you have swordsmen. It's like these guys charge the archers, and if your swordsmen start getting low, and it's like uh Count Dooku or whoever the hell you're playing, he gets reinforced from England,
Horsements.
and you're like, okay, cool, I got
England.
more dudes over here.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well,
I swear you're supposed to be learning during this, but
Yeah. So are the Normans French? I can't tell.
I love the fact that they started off the campaign though giving the experience that every RTS player dreams of, and it's just like, here's a big army, fight it with another big army, and I always think that is the correct way to go for introducing people to this genre.
I thought it was cool too. What it reminded me of was a Total War scenario, because like in Total War, like that's how most battles kind of play out, because you get a setup phase where you get to move everyone around, and then there are like you can ambush people and have elements of surprise happen and stuff. It's like in the campaign, the first level, it's like your character's losing, so he decided to feign a retreat to lure them down the hill and make them lose the high ground. I'm like, damn, this is like intense. I mean, I wonder if this happens in just normal multiplayer, but it probably doesn't.
Which
Yeah.
one thing to bring up with I was talking about. I wanted to ask about the newcomer thing because I'm definitely a newcomer to the Age of Empires series. I probably got less than 10 games under my belt with the whole series. So I asked you if there was any tournaments coming up because you were talking about playing 2v2s, and I'm like, oh man, gaming together. Me and Nave got to get on a team and take home the gold for
And
GT.
lose
Yeah,
instantly.
no, we got to win. So you said you were organizing a tournament for your group or a show match or something?
Yeah. I do plan on having it. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna have much time for. Well, the way I'm looking, it's like in a month I'm gonna do some kind of tournament or so. Maybe earlier if time permits. But yeah, I think everybody, especially now when everyone's still new to the game, that's gonna be when it's the most fun because people are over the place, right? You don't have. You don't have the tryhards that have played like
The
500
Mario
games,
Party meta. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it is some of the most fun tournaments, and I think as well it's interesting seeing the AOE 2, AOE 4 kind of split, not split, right now. So, and I think this is another thing, and it's like with a new game, my mind just gets tired a lot faster. So like I play like 1 or 2 games, and I'm like I've had so much fun, but I'm good for today.
Yeah, that's all you need.
And it's nothing to do with the game. It's like no, my mind is done. I had a lot of fun, but I cannot think anymore. So I will now, you know, go watch something or something. Yeah.
So you're talking about kind of like preconceptions or whatever that I may have noticed just in my, visual experience of the game. One thing I really like to see were the boars, which, in my understanding, are a more valuable food source that fights back and roams around the map. Which I definitely got like League of Legends the dragon vibe. That's like oh there's dragon. Like every time I saw the boar in like the stream I was watching, I'm like oh there he goes, and he's just like walking in the fog of war. So the resources they're like you play on random maps a lot, right? And has like random value of resources placed around, right?
Yeah, I so what I'm getting is like that board mechanic that was in AoE 2, they've pretty much gotten rid of from what I'm seeing.
Oh no.
And I think it's mostly the civs themselves that dictate how you're gonna gather food. I still refuse to gather food from hunting, but I think it is an effective thing because they give you like some bonus. I don't know. I still refuse though. Maybe there's a civ that like really make sure you actually go hunting for deer and stuff. But yeah, no, I've just it's just now you're a sheep collector. So have you seen this?
Oh yeah, I've seen the sheep. I've seen the sheep
So
move around too.
so the sheep, if their sheep are with your like main scout, which is actually your kind of your hero unit, so I thought that's kind of cool because like that unit can like boost your army and stuff like just for like a couple seconds before a fight, like at attack speed of your army or whatever. But in the beginning of the game, if you collect a sheep and the sheep follows it, then it goes as fast as the main scout, like it follows that scout around. However, if you want to send it back by itself, it goes like super slow. So it's like this early game of just finding all the sheep you can and then herding them back to give yourself like that starting food amount. But I like streamline. I like how streamlined some of those things are because it lets you get to the more fun, complicated part of the game later.
Another thing that I noticed, the streamer I was watching was playing the what are they called? Nomad horse people.
Mongols.
Asia.
Yeah, Mongols. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Them,
everyone's
yeah.
playing Mongols. Okay, you know why everyone's playing Mongols? All right,
They don't
you
build
have
houses.
to build houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they didn't need wood for the whole first part of the game, but you can't build walls is another thing. Like they don't build walls.
It's fine.
Or is
Just
that
use cav. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the
They just
streamer I was
conquer
watching,
walls.
yeah, he was like, "Look, like these don't have to build walls. I'm a horse boy," and I'm like, "Yeah, horse boy," and his opponent just built walls like instantly. So his horses like show up to the wall, and he's like, "I need siege." Basically, like his horses walk up to the wall. The wall appears out of the fog of war, and he's like, "Oh." and he just like turns back around because he was like, I'm gonna go raid, I'm gonna go, mess up some villagers and stuff, but he was already too late in the game.
Well, here's that weird thing. Okay, I can talk about Mongols forever, but they have a unit that like can shoot a horseback running away, right? However, that unit can't destroy walls or like buildings, so you get bonuses as Mongols to like actually destroy stuff and like pillage stuff. So what I've been doing is I first make like a raiding party that of horsemen, that just like the basic horsemen that have a spear, because they can at least like throw torches and stuff and get some early things. And then my next wave is the airplane, or the archers that on horseback. I call them the airplanes because that's how I feel. They just zoom around the whole map, right?
It's like
Civilization Revolution all of a sudden. Like, and then I brought in the jet planes to fight against their villagers.
And they had shields and pointy sticks, and I had tanks, and I blew them up.
Yeah, but they were like veteran pointy stick boys though, so they were really strong with like 19 buffs.
They actually made it to the tanks and poked them a little bit before we blew them away.
One exploded. All right, so just in like other things to notice is like the way the tech tree works. Like before, in my experience in the second one, it was just like a flat, you buy this with gold or whatever and you go to the castle age. With this, it looks like a little bit of a split in what bonuses you get based on which, I forgot, it was like keystone building, landmark building, or something like that.
Yeah, landmark buildings.
Landmark building. That's it.
And the landmark buildings, I like it. It means you can keep producing villagers. You don't really stop your economy, because before it was like stop everything else you're doing and like age up, right? Yeah. Here it's like, okay, you get this and it gives you kind of bonus, and it's usually what I really like is it's like there are two choices, so if you play a Civ a couple of times, you'll start realizing which ones you prefer. For instance, there's one, it's like depending on what part of the game you are, it's like generate free units every 90 seconds. I'm like, yes, I'm lazy. Please do that for me. And I think there's other stuff which I just don't get. Like, I don't know what the other landmarks do. The Chinese civilization is really confusing because you need to build certain landmarks to switch what dynasty you're in, and then that dynasty gives you some bonus relative to what it is. So that one's way more complex when it comes to this part of the game. However, the rest of their unit set is pretty straightforward. So I like how they've really made it complex, but only depending on the civ you use. So like if you want, I feel like if you choose certain civs, it's like here's the least complicated civ to play, right? But yeah, I think in landmarks they're generally pretty cool, and the added bonus is that's a win condition, right? If you don't have to destroy all their buildings, you just destroy the landmarks, which I think is a way faster way to make sure people aren't just running around building like individual buildings around the map and then just not refusing to leave. They get mad at you.
The lifelines.
All four corners,
So, okay, this might show my ignorance of the other games, but in the second one, it mostly seemed like different civilizations had different nations, civs, whatever. They had different bonuses, and they would have different signature units. And in this one, it definitely seems more flavorful, with some units just being completely blocked off from, like, the Mongols. They don't build houses, but then they don't build walls, but then they have so many more horse flavored units. You know what I'm saying?
They've done way better job when it comes to flavor. Because in AoE 2, only the most recent expansions that they actually had flavor to the civs. Because most of them are just like clones with like plus minus one unit, plus minus some bonuses. But like in general, once you know how to play cav civs, you can play most of the cav civs. Once you know how to play archer civs, you can play most of the archer civs. Now, I'm not saying you can play them to the extreme level of all the top players. I'm just saying in general, pretty much how they play. And in this game, it's like, no, every civ is unique enough that you kind of have to, take some time to like digest it and be like, okay, what am I going for here? Like the elephants, I just want to get the name here before I say it, but the Abbasid dynasty. So when me and my friend were playing, and they're playing the Abbasid dynasty, and then he just kept going for elephants, and just as soon as he got elephants, we just rolled, like walls fell down, and like it felt like the elephants actually felt like Lord of the Rings elephants. You know what I mean? They just took everything down with them.
No one in the Shire is going to believe this.
No one in the Shire is gonna believe this exactly.
Nave, that's a Lord of the Rings reference. See, there's one
I
point
gotcha.
where Sam and Frodo go over a hill and they see a bunch of Easterlings, or the Dark Men of the East, and they
You're
have
making this
giant
more
elephants.
complicated than it is. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And they're like, "Oh, look, elephants or oliphants, Mr. Frodo." And then Sam's like, "No one back home's gonna believe this." And then I think he said something like, "I don't know if we're gonna be making it back home, Sam. Somebody ate all the bread, And then it was a whole thing.
I don't feel like you did that justice. However, it's the fact that there are these elephants that were like 3 or 4 times bigger than regular elephants. I guess is the point. Anyway,
And regular
yeah,
elephants are three or
that's
four
a
times
pity
bigger
laugh.
than
I will
hobbit
take the pity
elephants.
laugh. Yes, the hobbit elephants for sure. Yeah. So anyway, I have found that that each of the civs, like as you play them, you realize, oh, this is the stuff that I need to do with this civ. So yeah.
All right. So I think that covers pretty much anything I wanted to bring up. Nave, do you have anything you want to mention particular about the game?
I think I went through everything. I went through all my knowledge as far as I can go.
Well, did you have a civ that you identified with more in the campaign? Like, I'm sure you were limited on selection, at least with the
In the
first campaign.
campaign, it like forces you to be. I was like
Okay.
England the whole time.
Of course you were.
Oh, I
Those
guess my friend.
imperialists.
Sorry, I need to make a correction before I get yelled at. Before I get
Go
yelled
for
at
it.
by my community. My friend was probably playing the Delhi Sultanate because they have the war elephants. Okay. So yeah, it was probably that one. Uh, I was gonna say that. I mean, you want to talk about like the 2v2 aspect a little bit? I'm sure
Yeah.
because it's tech. We are technically on a co-op podcast, right?
Yeah, we are a gaming co-op podcast.
I will say it's been a lot of fun because essentially what I've been doing is just having one of us play the civs we're comfortable with, so we can survive / win that way, and then the other person gets to try out a new civ. So I'm enjoying that, and it takes the pressure off, and it's a lot of fun just being ridiculous. And yeah, we I think we've only lost one game out of the 3 or 4 we played, and I think it's because that game we decided to both try new civs. So it's that fine line between trying something new and having fun with it, and also wanting to win. So that's been my experience co-op. I don't know if the campaign is co-op. I don't think it is, but
Maybe
would be
one
cool.
day. Which, Nave, we always we have words for people like that play their mains in normal games or quick games on League. Just shaking
Do
my
we
head
have
at
more?
you.
I have many. I have many words. I'm
Yeah,
very angry every time I see that across the screen, across the
you,
team. I'm like, oh
you go
no.
into a normal game and you see a Yasuo with 700,000 mastery points, and you're like, oh, this guy has 900 hours on Yasuo and he's playing normals. Shake my head.
Absolute disgraceful. And then I play Zach and I have 1 billion points and my name is Zactical Nuke. But also I haven't played in like 5 months. So give me a break, guys. Can you just give me a break?
Nah, man.
I can
Ranked or
be I can
nothing.
be slightly a hypocrite. All right. I don't think I can play ranked with any. I think all my friends are gold now and I'm bronze MMR. So I
Which
can't even play ranked with you guys.
they updated the client where on League where you have a friends leaderboard now when you like can log in and you can see the ranks of all your friends compared to you to see where you're standing. I'm currently unranked, but most of my
That's
friends,
sad.
except for I think Victor, are like silver. But Victor's gold. He's like gold too. But everyone else is
Yeah,
silver.
well,
So
that's the thing. Victor mostly played on his Brazilian account. I know how he fucking gamed the system, all right?
Oh yeah.
Because like, I'm playing on a super old account. I have like established MMR. If you get on a brand new account, get to level 30 and then start playing ranked really good, it'll put you higher up, right?
Yeah.
So, he had a Brazilian account for a while and played on that. Got that he like played with his friends. His friends are pretty good too, and he got that account to gold, but in the Brazilian region. But whenever he got his American account up to like level 30, he already had so much knowledge already. He had been there, done that. You know what I mean? So whenever he did his placements, and I was like high silver whenever I did it with him too. So because I played some of his placements with him, and it ended up giving him a pretty high MMR, and he just had to barely try to jump over that hurdle. Meanwhile, I'm over here getting like 15 LP a win and 20 LP a loss. I'm just like, how do I get out of bronze at this point? Because I'm playing a tank. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to carry the game.
I'm kind of
which
curious because this kind of relates a little bit to the fact that right now AoE 4 doesn't have like a ladder system, and I'm just curious, like, what would a league be if there never was a ladder system? You could only play normals.
More
that'd be
fun.
weird. You know, it's
Too
kind of
weird, more fun.
like my wife, she plays a lot of TFT, but she doesn't like to play ranked TFT, and it confuses me because I'm like, how do you know if you're winning? You know, like then I think back to like Halo and all these social games we played, which would like there wasn't really a rank, or was there a rank? Like it would just level up
No,
your overall level, like your overall Spartan level would go up, but you would so you'd only get XP, but there was no in-game rank. But we played so much social
you didn't even get
Slayer.
experience in
Oh, you didn't?
social. No. Oh, well, I mean, in social Slayer matchmaking, you did. I thought you were talking about custom games.
Oh, well, custom games too.
Because whenever we first started playing together, I was always upset because you always wanted to play custom games, and I'm just like, I just want to get experience and level up. Can we play Social Slayer? And you're like, no, Pink Death. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Or only play
playing
these
Pink
cancer
Death
game
now.
types we made.
Yeah, but eventually I was like, oh well, this is fun, and I would be playing like ranked by myself, and I would get pretty high. I'd get like in the what is it like, go up to like 50 or something.
Yeah, 50 was top.
And I think I got in like mid 30s, but I was starting to get egregiously fucking frustrated at this game, like I do with all games I begin to take seriously.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh, I kind of like playing custom games. It's kind of a breath of fresh air to play, Jenga Tower for like 3 hours straight.
So,
But now I'm
custom
an adult.
games in AoE 4? Like, do you guys play Among Us or whatever made up game type happens to be the flavor of the week in custom games?
For AoE 4, I haven't looked at AoE 4. I listen, the game is so new right now that there's no need to like go over extra content for me. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
every time I go in, I'm like, I have not consumed enough of this game to be like, okay, let's try new stuff. However, there is no custom or like a map editor in the game,
Hmm.
right? So that's
But
one
there's
thing that
map
some
seeds.
people.
Like, there's seeds for the
Yes.
maps. I've noticed. Like, whenever you create a game to like invite people to.
So I guess the point is like usually in these games you have like an in-game map editor that's everything's laid out for you. So if you want to make your own maps, you can. And there's
Yeah,
not.
you can put a bunch of hot rods inside of like entrenched area with a bunch of villagers and just murder them over and over. That's what I did as a kid.
Yeah, so you can't do that, and so that's one thing. You can't stay, watch the map after it's gone. So there's a couple little things that like people from
Replays.
AoE2, yeah, AoE2. You have 10 replays. At
Only
least
10?
last I heard. Only 10. Yeah, magical number 10. Okay, only your 10 best. All right, get 11, get rid of that one.
Man.
But the
Yeah.
11th one was the one where my wife was giving birth during it, and I'll remember it forever. It's what's with all these
Well,
Microsoft?
League saves your last 10 replays.
I was like, what's with all these Microsoft properties not having fucking Forge mode and fucking Theater mode on release? Now I'm starting to get a little upset, like
You don't
Twitter.
even have ranked. Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, I once again I maintain that Overwatch, all right, was the best game it was before ranked was ever introduced, and that's when the game went downhill. I'm telling you.
It should have stayed like Team Fortress 2, where
Yeah, exactly.
I
Because
don't even know if there was a ranked. It was just like you drop in a
All right.
match and play.
side tangent, all right, but the biggest
Okay.
problem with Overwatch is it was too balanced, and this is the same problem with Artifact, is that if you're too good at balancing the game, sometimes you need some variety. Sometimes you need to get stomped. Sometimes you need to stomp some players. Okay, you can't just have every game be on like a knife's edge because you're gonna be like, I'm stressed. All right, I want to just like win one game easily from time to time. And
Whenever I
Overwatch,
first started
yeah.
playing that game, I was just playing the ball boy. What's his name? Where he's doing
The
fucking
hamster?
Naruto hand sides as he's fucking shooting
Oh,
people.
Zenyatta.
Yeah, Zomato.
Yeah, and I was like, this guy is not a healer. Like, I am just killing people. Like, I was just I was playing like I was McCree or whatever the fuck his name is now. I'm like, bah, gah, 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 fucking slaughtering everyone. And I'm like, this is crazy. But then I started playing Lucio because I didn't really like Overwatch. I just like to screw around. And Lucio is like one of the screwing around characters, it feels
Yeah.
like he's like bouncing people off of the freaking map and stuff, like it's Smash Brothers. Lucio's very fun. I would just like run around the edge of maps and just knock people off all the time. Get like angry messages on Xbox Live.
Oh, you were playing Overwatch on Xbox? SMH.
Yeah, because you have to download the Blizzard client. I don't
Yeah.
want to fucking download the Blizzard client, man. I don't want to. Don't make me do it. I just downloaded Epic Games so that I can play. Oh shit! I just freaking. Oops. I just downloaded the EA freaking thing so that I can
Oh
play.
yeah, Origin.
What is it? I don't know what it's called anymore. It just says EA on my on my desktop. But I wanted to play the re-releases of Command and Conquer. I haven't even played them yet because by the time I got around to wanting to play the Age of Empires 4 was already out, and I was like, I'm just gonna play this. I'm gonna play this thing.
You know, I actually own the Origin versions of all the Command and Conquers too, like the Master Pack. Maybe we should play it together. Rob, you in? We're gonna play some Command and Conquer.
I have them. I have the Command and Conquerors. I mean, I don't know if after you want to play after this.
Maybe,
I haven't
I
thought
don't know.
that
We'll see
far
what time
ahead.
it is.
We'll see what time is, but I'm down. I have all of them. I've not played through. I've played some of them, not all of them. If they're co-op, yeah. That's next episode. We'll work.
I don't even know
We'll
if
play
I-
it. We'll record it.
I don't even know if I know how to get into my EA account, so I'd have to like look
Password
into that.
Recover
reset,
password. Yeah. All right, boys. So we've been going for a solid minute. We have probably not gone in depth for most of your average listeners, but our co-op partners at home are probably sitting pretty. So is there anything
If
else
you-
you would like to hit on?
I was
With it-
thinking like if you wanted, just where we hit that break, just reverse order it so that the Age of Empires stuff is first, and then we can be like, and this is the end of gaming together, but here's the beginning of where we weren't talking about that. Or you can just
Are you
link it
trying to
us, that
memento
doesn't
this
matter.
right now? Like how the beginning
I was
of
gonna
the
say
end?
we should keep this in and then not do that.
Perfect. That's definitely our style.
Don't edit that.
Okay.
All right.
Or
So,
we could. I don't know. I don't care. It's whatever. It's your show. I'll just throw
I
it
mean-
on my feed. I don't care.
Well, before we start moving on to our other stuff, would you like to say any final words for the game?
Final words. I think this is definitely a discount one. Okay, because I think the base game is expensive. It's not for everyone. If you are a fan of Warcraft 3, if you're a fan of StarCraft, if you're an entire Blizzard, you've been playing those other two games. That could be a topic we could have talked about when we were talking about Blizzard. But anyway, so if you like any RTS game in the past, I'm sure you'll love this. This is the first like AAA type game, and maybe for you it's definitely a buy. But I think for most people, especially with people who want to try it out, is it on the Microsoft like game store? Like, can you try it out without?
Talking about Game
without buying
Pass?
it? Game Pass,
It's on
yeah.
Game Pass for sure. Yeah, that's how I'm playing it.
Yeah, like
So
was
you-
it $20 a month and you can get the game?
So if you have Game
I think
Pass,
it's $15 a
definitely
month.
try it out. And for everyone else, wait for a discount. Because it's just enough high range that it's like if you're not into the RTS genre, if you're not sure, definitely wait till it's like 50% off in half a year or whatever it is.
I would definitely pay for Game Pass just to play Age of Empires.
Well,
And then, like, because there'll be other things. There's other things on there too. Like the Command and Conquer stuff is also on Game Pass because it's on EA Play. So that's how I'm going to end up playing them.
I mean, just go
anyways.
month by month, because if you could go month by month, then like a $20 Game Pass for 1 month.
I'm not sure because I haven't paid for Xbox Live Gold or like Game Pass in like 7 years because like the moment the Microsoft Rewards program began, I was like, this is always going to go towards my Xbox Gold and now my Game Pass. I have enough Microsoft Rewards points for like 3.5 years of Game Pass Ultimate. Like I will never have to pay for this again. It's fucking sweet. I'm always telling people, I'm like, fucking sign up for that. Sign up for it. Just play video games. And they give you points, and then you use those points to never pay for their stupid online service.
But anyway,
That's what Philip was sitting on right
Even-
now, I think also.
even if you did
Yeah.
pay $20, I think that would be the nice solution. Try it out and then see if you like it or not. Yep.
If you haven't subscribed to Game Pass, the first month is $1, I think.
Ooh.
I think that's how they
Nice.
get them in.
All right, Nave, do you have some final words for AOE 4?
Did we talk about Blizzard? You said we talked about Blizzard a second ago.
We
did.
talked about
We were
Overwatch
like-
briefly, but
Oh, Overwatch is a Blizzard game. I freaking.
but I want to
forgot.
say that like right now everyone's very discontent with Blizzard. So people who are Warcraft / Starcraft fans, I think, are pretty eagerly switching over this game. Like I have a potential like, man, I love Starcraft and Starcraft 2, but this. I don't want to hyperbolize. All right, go
Gotcha.
into hyperbole, but I do have a sneaky suspicion that if the game is good enough and enough StarCraft posts switch over, they're not going back because Blizzard has pretty much ever since last year stopped supporting StarCraft 2. And they have like, you know, the joke is there's one intern working there now, and then just like this one intern keeping the servers alive. But it's like the game isn't supported. The company is its worst public display, and you know, some horrendous crap in the company itself. And it's like, you know, this is now probably a time where a lot of people are like, okay, I want to play RTS games, and you know, we're going to combine 3 or 4 communities into this one game. It's going to be the biggest game for the next little bit. Let me try it. And if it, I think the 1 year mark is going to be big, right? If when we're talking about this game in a year, like next November, if it's at least maintained most of its player base, right? If most of the RTS people have switched over to this game, it'd be nice if all there, because like this is the thing, RTS is a niche genre as it is, but it'd be nice if there was like an RTS game where all the people just like combined agreed came in there. So like we had, yes, RTS is never going to be the biggest game in the world, all right, but you could have like, you know, your 250,000, right, instead of your 50,000 maybe that play regularly.
Which, by the way, did you see the numbers on Forza Motorsport 4 to
What
loop
are
it
the
all the way
numbers?
back around like a glorious horseshoe?
Yeah.
No, what's up?
Forza Motorsport 4, they had a early release on Friday. I think I told you about this already, Philip. But on Friday they had an early release. Like if you paid $50 if you're subscribed to Game Pass, or if you pay like $120 for like the Ultimate Edition without Game Pass, you get to play the game on Friday rather than the release date on Tuesday, right?
Mhm.
By the time Tuesday came around, there was already over 1 million people playing the game.
Oh
Like
my
already
God.
over 1 million people paid at least $50 to play this game a few days early. And then whenever it came out on Tuesday, jumped up to like 4.5 million.
That is
Ridiculous.
wow. Well, here's the thing, and I think people keep forgetting about this, but there are like niche communities that I wouldn't consider niche anymore. You know what I mean? Like they're not
Mm.
mainstream, but like their community itself has grown so large, right? I mean, there's even like an argument to be made about YouTube creators these days, right? Like
Yeah.
I think there's several like even 10 million plus subscribed YouTube people that are amazing, that their 10 million is a unique 10 million that
Yeah.
isn't mainstream. People don't know outside of that bubble. But yet they're really successful, right? So I find that deeply fascinating.
But I mean,
Yeah, and it's definitely like, because I wouldn't consider I think Forza Horizon is like a different crowd than Forza Motorsport. I think there's definitely like overlap, like in the little Venn diagram, there's a pretty big chunk in the middle, but like there's a Horizon and Motorsport are 2 completely different games for sure. Like this game, you are like launching off of bridges, you're like smashing through trees and shit, and in Forza Motorsport, you're like you tippity tap someone's bumper and now you're going 4 miles an hour and you're like crashing everyone
Yeah,
behind you.
Forza Motorsport is like the I want this to be as realistic of a video game as it possibly can be. You know, that's what I
Yeah.
feel like with it.
Which the thing is with that is I don't like have a preference between one or the other. Like I am sometimes in the mood for the simulation and sometimes not. And when I play Motorsport, the simulation, I have it basically on like easy difficulty, like not baby mode, but I have it on easy difficulty where I am having to like brake pedal and stuff, but I still have the line there that tells me like it turns yellow if I need to slow
Yeah.
down, and it turns red if a hardcore turn is coming. And I'll put that game in first person. Like I never play driving games from like the steering wheel point of view, but I will in Forza Motorsport and presumably also in Gran Turismo. I guess would assume, but I go into a trance and I will play that game for like 4 hours just listening to like EDM or like hip hop or something, and just play that game for a very extended period of time, like once every couple of months. Like I used to always have Forza Motorsport downloaded, and Horizon's a different beast. It's more like Burnout, I think. Like not without all of the awesome crashing shit, that would be really cool. But
Yeah.
it's like Burnout if Burnout took all the fun shit out, which
Can I
sounds
just
bad,
say
but everything that's there is really good.
I looked up Forza Horizon 4, and like the first thing I see is Lego Speed Champions. There's just like a Lego car in this somewhat serious game. I love the crossover. I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, they had a Hot Wheels crossover too, and that looked actually really cool. Where like you're like doing loop-de-loops and shit, and I was like,
That sounds
well,
really
I'm
cool.
honestly sign me up. It's way cooler than that Nerf video game where they're not even shooting Nerf guns; they're shooting like real guns or something like that,
What are
or
you
like
talking
laser
about?
guns. Have you seen it? I don't know.
No, I
I
know
saw.
there was a paintball game that came out on like 360 way back in the day. It's like, who wants to
Oh, it
play
was awful.
paintball when you can play Call of Duty? You know?
That's the thing. That's what they thought when they were making the Nerf game. They were like, we don't want to shoot Nerf darts, so like they just give them guns then that shoot something else. I don't know. I'm like, but it's not Nerf anymore. Why even do it?
Yeah, it's Nerf or nothing. All right. So, Nate, final words for AoE 4 so we can end this?
Oh yeah, we're doing that. I feel like I do this every time.
Not
It fun. It a lot of fun. Have a strong computer that isn't shitty. I don't even think you need a super strong computer to play this game. I just think that my computer's shitty enough that it's definitely confused. There's like an intern that's in there looking at my diagnostics every time I fucking crash, just scratching his head like, what in the hell is going on with this guy's PC?
God. All right.
That's
For,
it.
for my little last words, I still haven't played the game, but with the upcoming ASAP tournament, whatever, me and Nave are going to take gold. So I'm going to have to start playing. And I am excited to see where this game goes in the future because just looking at it now, it looks okay. I know it's weird to say that in this modern day and age, to see a game that looks complete on launch is notable, but this game looks complete on launch
it feels
just
so
from
far.
videos.
Maybe I haven't played
Yeah.
enough.
Okay. I haven't seen the invisible walls yet, but apparently this game looks pretty good just from my views. We'll see how it looks in the future when they start adding more content and patching and probably balancing in the future. But I'm excited to see this game develop.
I think by definition these kinds of games have invisible walls. They have to.
Well, yeah, I
Because
know.
that's like the border around the map.
God.
Oh, okay, that's a okay, this is just
Go
a
for
side
it.
tangent. But instead of just having it like drop off into nothingness and there isn't anything there, it's now just like this like land that continues, but they have like a line marked in the sand. This like fancy line
Oh
saying, "Oh,
really?
you can't pass this," which I kind of like.
Oh, the fucking fog of war. I don't know if it's like this in the multiplayer, but the fog of war in the campaign, it looks like a freaking cartographer's map
Yeah,
as
yeah,
you're
it
walking
does.
through it.
It's
It's
all
really fucking cool.
it's
You've
really
probably seen it.
cool. It's almost like too stylistic sometimes, where I'm like, okay, there's weird mountain range, and now I can't see anything. Well, I guess that makes sense, but anyway.
Oh, also like there's a part in the first campaign where it's like you get like a horsey boy and it's like if you get up higher in elevation, you can see further. And I'm like, was this in Age of Empires 2? Because this makes total sense and I don't remember ever doing this. I don't know why. Like you moving because every time I play like multiplayer in AoE 2 or like skirmishes against bots is usually what I did. I would be like, scout, go to that corner, and then I just forget about them until I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, there's a scout over there in the corner. Go to this corner now.
All right, if I'm not oh wow, I really don't want to answer that question because I feel like that's also a thing like people could yell at me for. But I'm pretty sure the way it'd work is like if someone was on a cliff, the person on the cliff could see the person below it, but the person that's looking up a cliff can't see what's on top of the cliff
Oh,
unless
no.
they're attacked or something like that. I don't know.
That's weird.
RTS is always weird about that one, but it makes sense that if you're
Elevation's
higher up, you can
weird.
see further. Yeah. I mean, that was the biggest problem with the original, RTS games is like trying to figure out elevation and also the 8-bit or no, whatever the graphics, the way they're made was different than these days.
Like when they had sprites instead of models.
I don't know why, but I'm just imagining episode 28, Age of Empires 4. Elevation is weird.
I like
That's
it.
just the
I like it.
I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to like listen for like maybe if a title comes up, and then that's the only time I've remembered like, oh, that, because I'll be like, that's never gonna come up again, so that's probably safe to make the title.
Oh,
Alright, Nave.
that's something I worry about these days at this point because we have so much episodes. I'm like, did I use this title before? I don't know.
It's
Nave,
hard.
Do you have Twitter stuff?
No, I forgot to do it.
All right, that's fine. Twitter didn't send anything
It'll be
in.
right.
Thanks, Twitter.
Bye now, Twitter.
All right. So, with that, this is where we say goodbye to the ASAP Weekly AOE listeners and say hello once again to the co-op partners. I don't know, do you want to cut your part of the thing there?
I'll you know what? I'll see. You know what? But I kind of want to give a little bit of a shout out to your
Okay.
show and a little bit of the
All right.
feel. So I'm not gonna cut. I'm not even gonna cut out the random side tangent about League of Legends in the middle. Okay. Our listeners they're either gonna love it or hate it. But if they love it, that means there's a better chance. Like if you like that kind of stuff, to enjoy the rest
Oh,
of
I
it.
just had a panic moment. Like, did we even say of Legends ever, or did we just keep calling it League again out of just
Doesn't
habit?
matter. It doesn't matter. League is fine.
But anyways, this is where we would read any comments or emails or tweets from you co-op partners at home. So please tweet at us or email in at gametogetherpod@gmail.com. All right, that little pluggerino's over. So, Nave, what are we doing next week?
Gonna try and get through Morrowind.
Yeah, how are you liking
If I'm up
Morrowind so
for it.
far?
Morrowind's sick. Have you played Morrowind, Robert?
No, I've not.
Oh my god. You need to play it. It's
Very
so
old.
good. No, it's good, not old. Yeah, it's old too, but it's good.
We're playing it with a mod that lets us play cooperatively online on a server, and I think this is one of the few instances where the co-op is actually making the game harder.
It
Where
is.
like if it like in because in the game in single player you just like keybind a quick save button and just quick save like every 2 or 3 minutes, so that if something bad happens you just reload. But now when we both die, we can revive each other, but we come back with like 1% health, and then we just get hit and stun locked and then killed again. And
Yeah.
I would just watch Philip running around, pick me up, and I'm like, I'm dead again. Pick me up, I'm dead again. Until Philip himself died. I'm just like, this is.
Oh, and one thing we'll talk about later on, but we are playing a mod on a public server. So there are like glitches. And one glitch that I experienced where all my skills got reset back to base levels, just like we've been playing for probably like 20 hours at this point. We have been
Yeah.
putting in work. And all of a sudden my level 30 character has level 25 destruction magic again, and I'm a caster, and it is so hard to grind up magic abilities. Like Nate talks about my RuneScape noises where I'm always casting a spell to level it up, because in this you have fail rates on your magic, and it also uses more magic the worse your skill is. So my skills are so crap that like Nave's like, "Can you heal me?" And I'm like, "I got you, brother." Womp, kirk, failed. Womp, failed. And then like finally I'll cast it and I'll heal him like 10 points, and I'll be like, "And I'm out of magic, Nave." And magic doesn't regenerate in this game. You get magic only when you take a sleep or take a nap.
Take a sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, but then those
It's
are
the new word they use for it, you know?
yeah,
Take a sleep.
when you take a sleep to get your magic back. And so I'm useless 95% of all the encounters we do. Nave is just like big bonk boy with his battle axe that just walks in and starts smashing things. Meanwhile, I'm like this little like I'm just like this little magic dude that's just like jumping around, failing my magic spells, and I'm like, all right, Nave, you're on your own. Or I'll pull out my sword and I'm just like I'm swinging my sword. This game also has hit chance, so it's not even like if you swing at a target and use melee range, you'll do minimum damage of like 1. No, you roll. Like if you're okay, here's how I think it is. So let's say your blade skill is like 20. You will roll 100-sided dice, 1 to 100, and you need to roll under your skill to have it count as a hit. And it also factors in like plus or minuses based on your like agility compared to their agility, compared to their armor values. So I'll go in there and I'm like, okay, I have 20 blade skill. We are fighting a cave rat that probably has like semi decent agility but no armor values. My agility is pretty trash. So I have a 7% chance to hit this rat. And I'm like doing like the Fallout 3 VATS where I'm like calculating the correct, hit I got to do. And meanwhile, like I'm like, Dave, I'm going to need your help with this one, as I'm like been fighting this rat for 20
Like
minutes.
a rat.
Yeah, and Dave has like level 87 axe, so he never misses. So he'll just walk over and
Philip
go,
is like, oh my.
yeah,
I'll start fighting with someone, and he's like, "Oh my god, you hit him like 5 times in a row," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
yeah. Meanwhile, I'm just
This
like
game is
whoosh,
brutal.
whoosh, whoosh, missing every time. But you only level up on hits. You only get XP for hits. So it's like once you get around 50, it's easy to like level up. But then of course, exponentially more experience is needed. Anyways, this is way too in detail for what we're going to be talking about next week when we finish the game, hopefully. God, so excited to play some
Water is
more of
so
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to take this time to thank Robert from the ASAP family of podcasts for coming out to Gaming Together once again. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you. No, I love being on these shows. I feel like you can tell the at least for me, I don't know. I've had a pretty long day at work today.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
I think we're all
should-
exhausted.
should I mention this?
No, go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
All
Yeah, we
right.
don't care.
All right, there was a scuffle in the class
no.
I was teaching, so I had to call some parents. There you go. That was my day, and then it's like I didn't get back till like 2 hours before the show. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and it's like I love doing the show, so like don't worry about that. But there was part of me that was like, I want to be home like an hour and a half earlier, and it's like here I am just getting back now. Grab something to eat and let's do this. So yeah.
Yeah, I've
there you
had a
go.
couple. I think I've had 2 different times where we had a guest on. We had a time, and then my job was like, we're sending you out to take like 15 packages that came in late, and only you, no one else. We've picked you. You're the lucky one. And I'm like, oh God. All right. Now I'm calculating traffic. I'm like, I think I need to take the back roads home just so that I can make it 20 minutes late to my own podcast. I'm just like, oh God, I freaking hate being a mailman sometimes.
And that's why we're professionals.
Sometimes, I mean, like, a lot of the time. A lot
But
of
you
it.
know, it's funny you say that, Nave, because we are still in development. We'd like to set up eventually some kind of, I don't know, funding program, maybe Patreon or something eventually. And then what if we could do this full time? Can you imagine that? I can't imagine it. I don't think it's
no.
ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But maybe,
That sounds hardcore.
maybe we can play games that aren't on Game Pass.
Hey, listen. Goals are important. Okay, goals are important. Sponsored by Game Pass.
Maybe we'll get bought by Kotaku or something.
Oh,
Not
dude,
Kotaku.
I would
but-
sell my soul to Kotaku, even though they post some of the cringiest stuff. But
Yeah,
I'd still do
never.
it.
They would never. They would listen to 5 seconds. They're like, not this guy.
God. All right. Well, I think we need to end it here. So thanks for joining us today, co-op partners. Maybe we can be some horsey boys together next time.
But nay.